What happened in qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix? Okay, let's get into Spanish Grand Prix qualifying then and start with Q1. A few spots of rain, an early red flag for gravel. Obviously, watching live, we thought it was a very knee-jerk reaction to drop a red flag, but there were cars going off everywhere.
It was such a chaotic and eventful session for a dry session, really.
Yeah, it was slippery, greasy, probably the best way of describing the track. And it doesn't necessarily have to be completely wet in order for it to be chaotic, as we saw in qualifying today. Getting the tyres in the right temperature window, being careful of that area in turns 10 and 11, where that particular part of the track, it was, kicking up a little bit of spray and causing all kinds of carnage. Speaking of carnage, Charles Leclerc is starting 19th, and probably from the pit lane if he has a problem with his car and it needs to be fixed, which
He's out. It's cruising. It's game over. Charles eliminated. We are out. Out in Q1.
I'm never wearing a Ferrari top again. When I was like, let's speak about Q1, I forgot that was already the Charles Leclerc pain. You think maybe that's Q2. Well, that's a big scalp. No. 19th gets out-qualified by everyone but Sargent. There was something wrong with the car. Charles said in the interview afterwards that, that he just didn't feel right with the car, and left corners were feeling really weird, and so on and so forth. So just you kind of have to take what he says for what you have to take it as truth, just purely because Charles Leclerc is usually a qualifying specialist, and to be dropping out of qualifying in Q1 is not good, especially for me.
There must have been something wrong with that car, because he was on pole last year. He's good at this track. For whatever reason, it was so exciting, that final bit of Q1. It just kept changing a bit. It was like Monaco, wasn't it? With the track evolving all the time. It just kept changing and changing and changing. And we almost had Perez joining Leclerc out as well. He just got through by the skin of his teeth. But for Leclerc, absolute nightmare.
So in Q1, it was Bottas, Magnussen, Albon, Leclerc and Sargent, the bottom five. I think another scalp in there. One, I guess Bottas getting out-qualified by Zhou, but two, probably bigger, is Magnussen in the Haas, when Haas have looked very good, especially in the hands of Hülkenberg, all weekend.
Yeah, Magnussen's not done very well at all there, because Hülkenberg has had a really good weekend so far, and very good in qualifying as well. So Magnussen disappointed to be all the way down the order.
We now head to Q2, where more chaos, more carnage, more surprises happening. The biggest one being Sergio Perez not making it through to Q3. Now, we were pretty harsh, I think, about his performance on the live stream. I still think it is a poor performance, but there have been these sort of moments of some drivers and some teams struggling more than the other side of the garage. Russell as well, out in Q2. So the full list is Perez, Russell, Zhou, De Vries and Tsunoda. And it just seemed like one of those really tricky sessions where getting those tyres into the right window was even more crucial than normal. And Perez just didn't seem to have the feel to be able to pull it off.
No, shocking, really. Like you say, he had the problem in Q1 where he just managed to just get into Q2, then made a mistake on his lap at Dinian, and we thought, that's it, it's over, but went for another run and it just wasn't quick enough. Perez really, really struggling. And it's not a good look when your teammate is just absolutely wiping the floor with the entire field and making it look like he's playing on 0% AI, because no one was anywhere near him. So when your teammate's doing that, we've said it before, but a bad race for Red Bull is like third, because the car is that good. So to not even make it into Q3 is absolutely shocking.
Question from one Pablo SF1, and shock, here it is. Is Ricciardo going to replace Checo by the summer break? Who else can they put in that Red Bull for the 2024 season if Checo still has a drive for the end? I love how people are straight on it.
Here we go.
Perez in the bin, Danny Rick's back, Liam Lawson, whoever you want to say. Yeah, Perez is gone. No, he's not gone. Just because he has these odd pockets of disappointment, of not performing, as long as Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship, as long as Red Bull are doing very well and Verstappen is winning the driver's title, and they're winning both of them if they have got a dominating car, then it doesn't matter if Perez has these odd occasions, in my opinion. Maybe the Red Bull bosses will feel slightly differently.
The only problem would occur that when they come back into the pack, we've said it before, look at someone, it's maybe an unfair example after he's just had a brilliant P2, but Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Carlos hasn't managed to beat Charles on most occasions, and there's been a bit of pressure on him to go, oh, should he really be in that Ferrari? But if they were completely dominating, you've got a bit of a, I think Carlos would be doing absolutely fine and, picking up the results to help them win the Constructors' title, and then you've got a driver that's faster to win the championship, and that's what they want. So it's just circumstances, really. When Red Bull, if they ever, and I'm sure a lot of people are praying for this moment, to get back into the pack again, that's when Perez gets under pressure.
Another driver that dropped out in Q2 was George Russell, and had an incredibly odd incident between himself and his teammate of all drivers, where it seemed, we haven't seen the full sort of run up to it, but from what I can imagine, Hamilton was going for another lap. I think he was P4 at the time. Russell was, of course, in the danger zone, so he had to go for his lap. And I'm going to say that this isn't completely George Russell. I think George Russell's fault. I think the squeeze, clearly he was completely unaware that Hamilton was there. But at the same time, you have to kind of question. Obviously, Hamilton probably doesn't know the full the full picture of what's going on, but I'm sure he's probably aware of where he is in the session. And to be fighting your teammate into turn one full well knowing he's going to screw his teammate over, I don't know how team playery that can be when you actually look at it. But then, of course, you have George squeezing him, losing the front wing slightly of Hamilton as well. That could have been an absolute plane crash at that speed, and him being squeezed off onto the grass. Thankfully, Hamilton had enough car control to sort that out. But it just seemed like such a weird occasion for Hamilton to be having a run at Russell at the end of Q2.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because you do think with all this technology now that surely Mercedes can see that their two drivers are the two dots right next to each other on track and should just get on the radio and go, even if it's just making a quick call, because Hamilton was always safe at that point. They should have just said, Lewis, back off because George needs to get through for the team here. That probably from a team point of view makes the most sense. But because that didn't happen, Hamilton's got every right to go, well, I'm going to pass him, and then just complete miscommunication, and Russell, lack of awareness and just driving into the side of him. But boy, and Netflix going to have some fun with that clip.
We now move to a question from Jade Knock. Do you think we start to see the crack form between Russell and Hamilton? 2016 history does repeat, they say. No, I don't think there's a crack. I mean, I joked about it on Twitter, said, the drama's going to start now. But Russell's reaction to it of like, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have done that sort of thing, will iron it over very quickly. Russell was the one to see the most pain from it anyway, because he didn't make it out of Q2. Hamilton was able to have a go in Q3. I think it'll very easily just be brushed over and brushed aside and move on.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one is just one of those unfortunate incidents. I do think there will be something between these two. There has to be, at one point, if the Mercedes does get quicker, there'll be a disagreement. But that one was just a bit of a pathetic mix-up that looked more dramatic than it was.
Now let's move to Q3, where it was a fight for P2, because Max Verstappen was just unbelievable, as he always is. But yeah, it was a battle for second place, the final spot on the front row of the grid, and Carlos Sainz did a great job, you have to say. Stepped up for Ferrari, Charles Leclerc completely out of it, down in 19th. Don't want to talk about it anymore. And yeah, Carlos did a great job. Just pipped Lando Norris back in P3. Finally, that McLaren coming into some kind of form in a particularly slippery, tricky condition, which I don't think is going to continue probably for the next few races, that McLaren are suddenly in Q3 all the time. But in these tricky conditions, Lando is right up there in getting the most out of his car.
Yeah, brilliant performance from Lando Norris. Sainz as well, sorry. Really, really great from him. To be everyone thinking Alonso is going to get, on the front row as the home hero. Sainz is going to be buzzing to be on the front row. Maybe he's the one that can dive bomb Verstappen, either cleanly or be the hero and take him out for the Alonso 33 victory. But
I mean, what
Alonso's
a race we would have on our hands if Sainz yeets Verstappen accidentally.
Well,
and you've got Sainz, Norris,
yeah.
Gasly, Hamilton, Stroll, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Piastri, and then Perez trying to come through as well, and then Russell 12th as well. So, yeah, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Like a little DNF for Max. It's fine for the championship. And my God, would we have a race on our hands. I want to mention as well, Gasly, amazing qualifying performance, as much as he probably is going to get a 3-place penalty. Starting 4th is a great little start. And instead, he may well be starting alongside Ocon, which could be great to watch. And Stroll, hey, come on. Biggest surprise. Probably going to start 5th once that penalty gets applied. He's on one.
Oh, it's painful that the one race Fernando's looking like he's having a bit of a mare at is his home Grand Prix, which is sucks for the fans. But
he hasn't had a lot of luck round Catalonia, has he?
Oh, well, his last race win was at Catalonia 10 years ago.
I saw a lot of people in the chat saying the Alonso curse at his home race continues or something. So I don't know if he's had a lot of bad luck.
He was
I don't
good
know
back in
his
the
full
days.
history of Spain. But there we go. That is qualifying wrapped up, so I don't have to talk about it anymore. Really glad I wore a Ferrari shirt. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I am feeling completely different to our Thursday predictions, where I was just slandering this whole circuit and Grand Prix. And that qualifying session was really, really enjoyable. And it's got me really quite excited for the race, because we've got a good mix of...
Are you thinking my little decent race prediction could be on the cards?
Could be on the cards. You never know. I mean, surely with Alonso coming through the field, Perez coming through the field, Leclerc coming through the field, we've got to have some action. And look, surely it's a good run down to turn 1. Normally the person in 2nd or 3rd gets a nice slipstream from the car in front, so Verstappen's going to be
Lando to
under
lead
pressure.
At turn 1?
You never know.
Yes, please.
Looking
and my final thoughts are still processing that Leclerc Q1 exit, but it's fine. Tomorrow, a little bit of rain in the air potentially, a little bit of action, drivers out of position, Lance Stroll up in P5, my biggest good surprise. I am fully on board with that one, and we'll see how it all unfolds tomorrow. And we'll see you there live on Twitch. We'll, of course, be back for funniest tweets as well, and all the other good content you've come to expect from us. We will have it all on time this weekend. We were a bit slow last time. I apologise, being out of Monaco.
Monaco dial-up.
Spain. We're here with good internet, and we'll see you very soon tomorrow for the race. Bye!
Bye!